Hello and welcome to Segments with Mark and Amber. Segments is a comedy and entertainment podcast where in each episode Amber and I choose a topic and we talk about it in a variety of segments. My name is Mark, and with me as always is my half-blood princess. It's Amber.
Aw. I guess I have half magic blood.
You have half magic blood.
That's great.
So good
I
news.
think I know which half is muggle.
I hope you get your letter soon.
Oh.
Not just because I would like, to kind of have some freedom during the year, but because I think you'd really enjoy it too.
I probably would. This is episode 54, and we're talking about Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. We've been working our way through the Harry Potter series, reading the books and watching the movies, and then discussing them in and amongst other episodes.
Yeah, and here we are already at book number 6.
The penultimate
book, and it was a good one.
It is good. Yes, absolutely.
Amber, can you tell me what the format of this show is?
Yeah, today we're going to go over a little what's making me happy. We have a Christmas quiz that, listen up, people, not Harry Potter related.
Yeah, I feel
so
like...
go ahead and listen for a little bit.
Yeah, this is like my Christmas present to those people who are not excited about this episode.
Yeah, exactly. So hopefully they at least clicked play to hear our delightful banter.
Exactly.
And then they will see that after the Christmas quiz, we're going to dive right into our top 5 Half-Blood Prince moments. We have a lot to talk about there. And then as always, if you want to contact us or leave feedback, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at SegmentsCast, or you can email segmentscast@gmail.com.
Yeah, and we have merely one correction and apology to tonight, Amber, or today, or whenever you're listening. And that is my apologies for the audio quality from last week. Hopefully, it seems like the audio is working appropriately right now.
Yeah.
And but last time it did not. I had everything set up, but then I had a button clicked incorrectly on my recording software.
That's such a bummer.
It's a real big bummer.
And we couldn't record it because re-record it because it was already such improvisational genius.
Yeah, and I only have so much energy to record these things, and I'd used it.
Would have been a real drab episode.
Yeah, because after that one, I recorded a episode for that podcast that I starred on.
Yes, exactly.
Which was fun, and that one was also poorly recorded, so you're welcome,
poor
everybody.
Baby.
Anyway.
And then in your disappointment and distress, you didn't even really post that there was an episode available for people to listen to. So if you subscribe, you would have gotten it, but if you were waiting for a Facebook alert, you did not. So please go ahead and subscribe.
Yeah.
That's a good way to do it. But that does lead into our first feedback from Brian. He posted our episode on his page. Bless his heart.
Bless his heart.
He said, the newest episode of Segments is out. Mark and Amber discuss Christmas movies leaning heavily on the Hallmark side. As a special bonus, Mark and Amber celebrate the launch of Disney Plus and Baby Yoda by recording the entire episode while wearing Mandalorian helmets.
Yes, that was great. Brian is my favorite.
That's the perfect way to sum up the way we sounded. And now you can tell we've taken the helmets off, which means we can never again be a Mandalorian.
Yeah, we've been removed from the weird cult of Mandalorian.
Yes, but I do like being able to see your face.
Oh, good.
So we also had some feedback. Well, Brian had just a couple of funny things. We love it when he's thinking of our podcast and knowing that we'd appreciate. So after our holiday movie episode, he posted this meme that says, what has 15 actors, 4 settings, 2 writers, and 1 plot? 632 Hallmark movies. That's a good one.
That's a good one.
You saw this... This Lord of the Rings, like you have my sword and my bow and my axe, and it's that guy from our news story a couple episodes ago with his axe.
He defended his apartment with a battle axe because he's not a LARPer. It's not LARPing.
No.
He just does recreational recreations of medieval battles.
It's much more real than that.
Yeah.
Which is why he was able to really defend himself.
Yeah. That was a great story. I'd like the news to do a follow-up on him. Where is he today? What's he up to?
Where is he? Yeah. Where is he in today?
But he's still watching Rick and Morty, is my guess.
We heard from one of our faithful fans and listeners, Amy, out in Baltimore, I believe, Maryland. Yeah. Mm-hmm. She said, just listen to the Christmas movie episode today. I absolutely cannot stand Hallmark or any kind of overly sappy, predictable, plotted Christmas movie. Yuck, yuck, yuck. It often gives the viewer an unrealistic expectation that can only bring disappointment. Some of her favorite Christmas movies are It's a Wonderful Life, Home Alone, The Santa Claus, White Christmas, A Christmas Story, The Polar Express, and Elf.
Yeah. Yeah,
I'd say Elf also gives you unrealistic expectations.
Yeah.
No.
I think that's. I think
No,
that's.
those are great movies.
Appreciate your feedback on that, Amy. And I do think they are completely unrealistic in many ways, but I think there's something kind of magical about it. And I think for me, it makes me think, well, okay, what is it that we're looking at here? And if this is unrealistic, are there steps we can take towards, more healthy or holistic or enjoying the season that we see through the
More simple life
entering
enjoyment.
It celebrates simplicity.
Sure.
and Christmas themed shops.
Yes.
That's what it also celebrates. So.
One more feedback from friend of the show, my mom, said, I listened to the Christmas Movies podcast twice.
Wow.
So that
She
is
endured it.
really amazing. I enjoyed it both times, in spite of our Mandalorian helmets. She said, I watched all the Mandalorian shows and also fell in love with Baby Yoda. The baby has powers.
Yes, he does.
That baby has power, she said. Okay. It's so great to hear about the movies available out there and your ratings and the coveted segment seal of approval. She missed seeing Last Christmas in the theater. She hopes she can catch it sometime. Two of her favorite things is Mark using the lowercase h to determine Hallmark movies. It's more of a overall genre. And Amber thinking out loud to decide whether Mark has made up the story synopsis or if they were a real thing. Both of you do so great with them.
Yeah, I love the story synopses. I'd like to maybe try to do that is there another genre that lends itself so well to made up movie synopses that we could do a quiz? I don't know if there is one.
Yeah, that one really works well.
What if I did one of Marvel movies? I could make up my own Marvel movie, and you could say, is that one real or
It's
made
just
up?
I've seen them all, though.
You don't know that. What if there's some that you've missed?
You could do like Marvel comic book characters or something, comic book plots. All right. Anyway, that was our glorious feedback. Thanks, you guys. Even though we didn't even post that we had an episode because of our shame, you still came through for us. Thank you very much.
Awesome. So let's jump right into what's making you happy right now. Amber, what's making you happy right now?
Well, I am still on that Disney Plus bandwagon, and I want to talk about another show I've really enjoyed called The World According to Jeff Goldblum.
This is a great one.
It is a really fun show, and I mean, you have to be a fan of Jeff Goldblum. I'm assuming everyone on the planet is. He's just kind of a quirky dude. He's a little bit weird, so he's not playing a character. He is himself. And he is...
he might be playing a character.
I don't know. I just feel like that's him.
I don't.
Okay, maybe he's going a little strong.
I think you're right. I think
quirk.
it's him, but certainly he's turning it up a little bit for the show.
Okay.
That's
he's
my
just
opinion.
an odd dude, though.
Oh, yeah, that's for sure.
So what he does is there's a topic for each one, sort of like segments. He picks the topic, and then he travels around and interviews people and visits factories and locations for different things and kind of tries to figure out why this thing is a big deal or how it's made. I don't know. So the first episode is about sneakers, and I thought, if it wasn't Jeff Goldblum, I would not have even clicked on it because I don't care that much about sneakers. But he went whole into the world of, what's the latest, coolest sneaker and things that people spend thousands of dollars on and sneaker conventions and how do you make a custom sneaker and all these things. But he did it all in his kooky Jeff Goldblum way, and I just delighted by the whole thing. So we have only watched 4 of them so far. He did one about ice cream. He did one about tattoos, fascinating, and then one about denim. And I've just really enjoyed every single one of them. There's several more out that I haven't seen yet. He's got one on gaming coming up that we definitely
Video
need
gaming,
to check that out.
Board gaming,
Could
who
be
knows?
it all.
Could be it all.
I would
what
hope
if he
that
goes
he
to
would
Gen Con?
divide it up. Oh my gosh! What if he went to Gen Con?
That'd be fun. That would be fun.
Pretty sweet. So if you're a Jeff Goldblum fan, I suggest you check it out, and it might make you happy as well.
Awesome.
Mark, what's making you happy right now?
Well, Amber, I decided I wanted to do something a little bit different. We've talked about books. We've talked about movies. We've talked about other random things. What I want to share is something that's been making me happy in the last few weeks, maybe the last month, maybe the last 6 weeks. I don't know. It's an app called Kingdom Rush.
Okay.
It's not just an app, it's a game. I'm always wanting like some fun little thing that you can do on your phone that's not going to take a lot of time.
Sure.
Or that it's kind of relaxing. I tried Candy Crush. That was a thing. It was real popular. Didn't like it. I just couldn't get into it. It just didn't grab me.
Okay.
And so I found this game called Kingdom Rush, and it's what they call a tower defense game.
Okay.
You familiar with a tower defense game?
I've heard of it, but I don't think I've ever played one.
So there's this like little road or a little path, and on the path there's these bad guys are going to walk down the path,
Okay.
trying to get into your castle or whatever, and you build these different kinds of towers. Maybe they're archer towers, or they're magic towers, or they're these big grenade dropping towers, or soldier towers, and you have to try to stop the bad guys from getting down the path, and the waves get harder and harder. And so it's just but it's there's a fun little story, and it's kind of cartoony, and they have these little funny catchphrases, and it was really fun. And the problem is that I got a little bit, I don't know if the right word is addicted to it, but I really started playing it a lot. And but I still finished, my classes and stuff.
You're still showering.
I'm still showering and going to work and doing all the things. But every once in a while, I think, what I need to do is step down back into the world of Kingdom Rush and see if I can beat that level. And it got to the point at the end of the first Kingdom Rush. Spoiler alert, I'm in Kingdom Rush 2 now.
Oh, boy.
I can't remember what it's called. Frontiers, Kingdom Rush Frontiers.
Oh, man.
But I was having some trouble on some of the last levels, so I had to watch YouTube videos of other nerds that had beaten it. And let me say, that's a pretty fun world. The world of YouTube Kingdom Rush tutorials.
There's enough out there to see, huh?
There is a ton. The last level of the original Kingdom Rush was called Pandemonium, and I watched probably 6 different people beat it, and they all did slightly different strategies, and eventually found one that I was able to use that also helped me to beat it.
Well, cool.
Amber wasn't actually listening to my What's Making Me Happy. She was on her phone.
Your mom's at the store right now texting me about Christmas purchases, so I just
you
had
were
to
downloading Kingdom Rush.
Oh, well, you convinced me. What is this? I need to defend a tower.
I need this right now. You don't defend the towers. You use the towers to defend your castle or whatever.
Wait, what's a tower then?
It's a tower defense. You build towers that defend things.
So there's no towers when you start.
There's no, exactly.
Oh, I thought the whole thing was that everybody's trying to get to the tower. I thought the tower was the castle.
The strategy is, what towers am I going to build? So, all right. Well, Amber, I hope that our podcast isn't too distracting to your, whatever it is, your texting and whatever. So I'll just try to make some conversation here for the listeners. What else is making me happy? I saw The Rise of Skywalker last night.
Oh, man.
Was it last night? Nay, it was the night before that. Yeah. But anyway, it's great. I cannot wait to get our panel on to discuss The Rise of Skywalker. We're going to have to watch it a couple more times. But
yeah, so if you guys want to be able to listen to that without getting spoiled, you've got about 2 weeks to get that watched.
Yeah, so I'll give it 2 big old thumbs up, but that's a little bit of a spoiler, I guess. Segment 1, a Christmas quiz. All right, Amber, here we are. It's time for a Christmas quiz, and there's 20 questions.
All right.
And some of them are a little challenging, some of them are a little easy. We're just going to see how you do. I wish I had a pen.
Ooh.
I wish there was somebody in the kitchen that could get me a pen.
Oh, my word.
So we'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens.
Oh, goodness.
What I like
about this episode is that it's showing, we're kind of pulling back the curtain a little bit.
Oh, it's not all perfection.
We're exposing some of the stuff that happens.
Now that we've had that bad audio one last week, we're not aiming for perfection anymore.
Yeah, we're just aiming for something that's listenable. Oh, 2 options. Thanks. Okay, Amber, are you ready? And
yes.
Do we have any of those segment stickers left?
Maybe.
We should win one for somebody.
Okay.
We should if you win this quiz, which means getting greater than 75%.
75%?
Yeah.
Okay.
Then we'll give somebody a sticker.
Okay.
I don't know who. Does everybody that wants one already have one?
What if
Okay.
you are listening to this,
You're
you
listening
don't
to
have
this.
a segment sticker.
Yes.
You're the first one
Yes.
to
That's it.
message us,
That's it.
Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter at SegmentsCast, or email us, segmentscast@gmail.com, and say,
Yeah.
I want that sticker.
I want that sticker.
If you're the first one, hashtag.
Hashtag I want that sticker. That would be great.
Then you get it.
That's perfect.
All right.
Amber, are you ready? Do you remember how I said some of these are easy, some of these are more difficult?
Yes.
Well, that's true still.
Okay. It hasn't changed.
Number 1. What's the name of the period leading up to Christmas?
Is there a multiple choice?
No, there's no multiple choice on
Oh,
any of
really?
these. No, you just
Oh.
got to go.
The period leading up to Christmas. I mean, there seems like there could be lots of words for it.
Nope.
You could say Yule time. You could say the holidays. You could say the period leading up to Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
Is this a
Yeah, I think you need to move
Jesus
out.
quiz?
Yeah, it's well, there are. It's coming.
Advent.
It's coming from a Christian perspective.
Is it Advent?
It is Advent.
Okay.
Correct. Amber.
I just feel like there's a lot of things that could be.
Well, not Yule time.
It wasn't Yule time. That's what I call it.
So yeah, so a lot of these questions are coming from a Christian perspective. So
that does
that's
give
gonna,
me a
that's gonna
framework.
help.
Okay.
Okay, number 2. How many wise men brought gifts to Jesus?
I mean, according to the tradition, 3.
Okay, well, the actual answer is more than 1. The Bible doesn't say how many.
Oh, clever.
So that's the level. That's the level we're at.
It's just ambiguity. This is a dumb question.
You're dumb. Okay. All right. I think you're going to get this one. How does Good King Wenceslas like his pizzas?
His pizzas?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Deep pan, crisp and even.
Deep and
Deep
Christian even.
Deep pan, crisp and even.
That's just a joke. That's not the
Well, you didn't get it right. Sorry.
Oh my gosh.
You only got 1 out of 3 right.
Good luck
so
getting
far.
your sticker, random person.
Ooh, what was the name of John the Baptist's mother?
John the Baptist's mother was Mary's cousin, Elizabeth.
Correct.
I couldn't get Sarah out of my head for a second. Elizabeth.
You did great. All right. Number 5, Amber. Who brings presents to children in the Netherlands on the 5th and 6th of December?
The Netherlands, early.
Who is it? Who brings those presents?
I don't think it is St. Nicholas. Père Nicole, Père Noel.
It's Bear Noel. Rawr.
What was that? Barschnick?
Barschnick.
What's his name?
Krampus? Bearschnickel? Belschnickel.
That's what I want to say. It's something like Père Noel.
Yeah. Well, actually, Amber, it's St. Nicholas.
Really?
Yeah.
I said it was not.
Yeah, I know. That's
the
when
first
I was.
thing. What do they do on Christmas?
I don't know. I
Weird.
don't know what. So the Netherlands, their Advent count or their calendar countdown, they're just 5 days.
I guess so.
So-
We had a very quick countdown.
Okay, Amber. Here's another one that I think you'll get.
Who knows?
How many letters are in the angelic alphabet? How many letters are in the angelic alphabet?
Is it something like?
It's something like
Is
that.
there like way too many O's? What do angels say? I don't know.
Oh, it's 25 because there's no L.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know how you didn't get that one. It's weird.
You didn't say these were jokes.
They're not jokes. They're
They're
quizzes.
riddle.
It's literally called Christmas,
They're Christmas
quiz.
riddles.
Well,
Deep dish pan, whatever.
deep and crisp and even. Okay, here's another one. Is this
75% is not going to
Is
happen.
this a
That was
riddle?
way too hard.
Is this a riddle? In what town was Jesus born?
It's not a riddle, as far as I know. We believe he was born in Bethlehem,
Correct, Amber. You're doing pretty good.
with the ones
Wait,
that are actual questions.
Well, how many presents were given in total in the 12 days of Christmas?
Oh, man. Can I do some math? That seems crazy.
You can. Oh, you're going to do pen math?
I mean, what am I? I can't do that in my head.
No, let's see if,
12 plus 11 plus 10.
I think you could do it in your head.
Oh, not on air in my head. You remember when we were trying to calculate that percent?
Yeah. I don't know. I might have to do some editing. Amber's deep in math. She's doing good, though, I think. She's doing...
79.
I'm sorry, Amber. That is incorrect because each day he gives an additional one, so it's 364.
Oh
so on
my
the final
gosh.
day, it's 12, whatever, 11.
And an additional 11
and
dancers
so,
dancing or
so
whatever.
you really have 12 partridges in a pear tree.
So that's not a nice gift at all.
No, it's actually a
I think
terrible...
that was their enemy they were giving those things to.
Exactly.
Nobody wants that.
Exactly. So
Maybe you want all those golden rings, but...
So basically what we've learned so far, listeners, is that Amber doesn't care about Christmas. All right. In which decade? Okay, you got decades. Which decade?
Okay.
In which decade was the first Christmas card sent in the UK? In the UK, Amber.
Specifically in the
Yeah.
UK. When did Hallmark get in on this Christmas card?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to guess decade. I mean, it's still... Okay, I'm going to guess 1810.
Amber, that's really close.
Oh.
It's really close. 1840s.
Okay.
It was in 1843, sent by Sir Henry Cole. Sir Cole.
Circle.
Oh,
You've got to be
that's
kidding
what it
me.
says.
Oh, my
Wow,
gosh.
that's amazing.
There's a throwback to our Christmas movie
I'm
episode
gonna-
if you
I'm gonna-
haven't pushed through that.
Give that one to you because you said 1800s. That's not a decade, but
Well, I said
it's-
1810, though.
I know, but you
Oh,
said
okay.
you were in
I
the
got it in
you
the
were
right
in the right
century.
century, so
Okay.
that's a real win.
That feels real.
What country? Okay, this is literally what the question says,
Okay.
but I think I can give some. I can expound a little bit.
Okay.
What country did the family escape to? What country did the family escape to?
Oh, man. That's,
It's what the answer leads me to believe they're talking about Jesus' family.
Oh, see, I would have gone with Von Trapp.
It was not the Von Trapps, unless they walked a different direction than I assume.
What country did they escape to?
Remember,
I
there's
just
a
know
lot
a
of
city.
Oh, well, there's a lot
They
of
go to a
trouble. They
country.
leave Israel.
Did they go to Egypt?
That is correct,
Right.
Amber. Yeah, good one. Not a riddle, is it? Okay, number 11. How many of Rudolph's 8 companions' names start with D?
Oh, there's quite a few.
How many of them?
Dasher, Donner, 3. I'm going to say 3.
You are correct.
Oh, good. I can't think of them all. But
Dasher, Dancer, Donner.
Okay, I did.
You did think of them all. That's weird that you... Okay.
I thought Dancer wasn't right. I thought there's Prancer. It's probably not Dancer, but
Let's see. Well, we're on just on one page now. Number 12. What country did Christmas trees originate from?
Christmas trees. Probably. Let's go England.
I'm sorry, it's Germany.
Oh.
It was actually Latvia, but that was part of German then, according to the answers.
Man, they're real grammatical. That was part of German then. Now it makes me not question why they had those weird questions.
Okay, number 13. Who was the king of the Jews who ordered the babies to be killed?
That would be Herod.
Correct. Good job. We were at one of his palaces
Yeah, we were.
a year ago. Number 14. What's the second line of I'm Dreaming of a White Christmas?
On the mistletoe.
I'm dreaming of a white Christmas under the mistletoe and stuff.
How do I not know this? I'm dreaming of a white Christmas and all the...
I'm going to say you don't know it. I'll sing it for you. I'm dreaming of a white Christmas, just
Like
Like-
the ones I used to know.
yeah. No mistletoe in that verse. Oh goodness.
Oh, man. I think I was singing a different part of the song.
What was Joseph's job?
He's a carpenter.
Yeah. Correct. Number 16. Who started the custom of wassailing? Wassail, wassail all over the town.
To me,
Our
it's always
toast is
connected
white.
with Good King Wenceslas because they both are a W word.
Good King Wenceslas went out on the feast of Eden when the snow lay round up. Does it help you when I sing songs?
No.
Who is it? Who were those? Who
Wassail,
started the
wassail.
custom?
So what kind of country would, or who would come up with the word wassail? It doesn't feel American.
Let me give
Can
you
I
a hint.
go- What?
Well, they did sing it at the beginning of the production we just went to of the Christmas Carol.
Interesting, which was Charles Dickens, who is English. So I'm going to say England.
Sorry, it's the Anglo-Saxons,
Oh.
which I think are the English, right?
How was the question worded?
Who started the custom of wassailing?
Just who? Okay, I don't know.
I'm going to give it to you because I
All
think
right.
Anglo-Saxons are British people.
It is funny that they would think anybody would give that as an answer.
It means good health. Wassail.
Really?
Good health all over the
Oh,
town.
I thought it was just a hot cider.
Hot cider all over
Is that
the town.
also a sale?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I don't know, listeners.
Maybe
Don't
I just think that in my head.
don't worry, listeners. We're almost done with this quiz. Who were the first people to visit the baby Jesus? Who were the first people to visit the baby Jesus?
Shepherds.
Correct, Amber. Correct. All right. I think you. Oh, this one's a little bit tougher. What's lucky to find in your Christmas pudding?
In your pudding.
What's lucky to find in your Christmas pudding?
Probably, I don't know. Would somebody put it there so you'd find it, or you just happen to find it? A lump?
No, I'm sorry. It's a sixpence.
Oh, a coin. I almost said a
sixpence.
coin. I was like, that's such a choking hazard.
Yeah, it is. But my grandma used to put very small toys wrapped in tinfoil
Yeah.
in cake, and that technically, can you imagine biting on a piece of tinfoil? That would be real painful.
But you guys were on guard for those toys, so you were looking.
What angel visited Mary?
I think it was the angel Gabriel.
You are correct. And Amber, we got one more.
Okay.
Where did the baby Jesus sleep?
Well, I mean, many places, but his first night, maybe at a manger?
Yes,
All right.
that's correct. So we got more math to do, friends. So Amber, there was 20 questions. So we're going to put 20 here. And we're going to put the number you got correct. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 on top. So you got 12 out of 20. Is that 75%? I don't know.
I mean, who would know? Why do you make percents? You need half would be 10.
So if 3
75% would be 15.
23 times
75% of 20
So
would
you
be
were
15.
a little bit short.
Okay. That makes sense. I felt like I got a lot wrong.
Yeah.
But never mind about that sticker.
Never mind about that sticker. Amber doesn't like Christmas.
I bet we'll have another quiz in the near future, though. So if you feel sad now, you could still message that. And next time we play one, it would be for you.
Amber, what was your favorite question?
I did laugh a lot at the stupid pizza one.
Yeah. How does Good King Wenceslas like his pizza? That's such a great dad joke.
It is
But
pretty good.
You'd have to nobody knows that song.
And that's
though,
not like
right?
a type of pizza. Like, do you want to get what kind of pizza do you want? Do you want?
Let's get a deep pan crispy.
It's not something that people. It's not like the word pepperoni that everybody would associate with pizza.
Oh goodness.
A deep pan crisp, sure, but even I would never order that.
Segment 2. Top 5 Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince moments. Amber, this is the part of the show where we really dive deep into Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince.
Yes, as we mentioned before, it's the second to the last book. The book itself, I've got right here in my hand.
I believe the movie came out 10 years ago, but I don't know when the book came out.
2005.
Okay.
And the movie, you think, was 2009.
I think it was 2009.
So Harry Potter fandom was well underway. Other books and movies had already come out.
Yeah, and I don't remember. Man, we were watching the movie the other night.
Yeah.
And there's so many parts of it that I just had no recollection.
Yeah. I feel like is there not as much happening? Like, it felt long.
It felt long. My favorite bit of the movie, and to me it helped me kind of flesh him out in the book, was Horace Slughorn. I thought he was fantastic.
Yeah, and I think he was really well cast in the movie. I appreciated him. So he's just like that kind of person that, you just can kind of imagine somebody like him. Like he's real.
He's real
enough, His kind of, he wants to be associated with the cool and the popular and the way he collected pictures of the kids, and he really cared about that. That does feel very Slytherin as well. Not the evil side of Slytherin, but the side where
you're looking for your own kind of prestige or something.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
For him, it was through being associated with these famous, or having a part to play in the lives of these famous wizards and witches.
Yeah, so when it's one of the first scenes of the book, not the very first one, but is Dumbledore collecting Harry to go off and get Slughorn. And of course, in Dumbledore's way, he doesn't explain what he's doing or why Harry's along with him. And Harry's, of course, happy to go. And I think the movie did a great job of the reveal of the kind of trashed house. And they don't know. It looks like maybe Slughorn's been killed or the house has been trashed. But Dumbledore figures out that it's just a spell or something. And Slughorn has disguised himself as that chair.
Yeah.
And they fix the house up. And then barely there at all, Dumbledore has to go use the bathroom, which is such a not thing that ever happens in Harry Potter world. He just wants to leave Harry and Slughorn alone for just a few minutes. That's all it takes, is just letting him see. It really, I think they definitely establish him as a collector of these famous kids and important kids, but it's almost like creepy. He's like, oh, here's a boy. I've got to be a part of his life. It's a little bit creepy.
A little bit creepy, but there's a couple creepy things about the wizarding world. So
yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Well, Amber, I've got a lot to discuss, and there's more than 5 moments that were great.
Yeah.
I thought in this book and some great themes and things that were happening. But I would like to start with you. Let's start at the bottom of your list, the number 5, and work our way up.
It's hard for me not to be chronological, but I think that I can do it.
You can do chronological. I'll try to. I don't
even think that my list is chronological.
Well, then,
I don't know what it is.
Then just ignore that facade of chronology.
All right, I'm going to say my number 5 is the opening scene of the book. So this is the Muggle and Wizard world colliding. So we've got, is it the Prime Minister
the
of
Prime
England,
Minister of England,
the real deal guy, not a wizard, going to be receiving a message from the wizarding world. And he has a little bit of knowledge of when he was elected, he got a message.
Fudge had come and talked to him, or something like that. And so there he has some. What my understanding is, when the Prime Minister takes his office, thank you. He is visited by the Ministry of Magic to say, hey, guess what? You should probably know we exist.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really interesting. It kind of had this feeling of like, did President Trump, when he took office, did they come and go, hey, Area 51's real? Here's what we know about aliens and that kind of a thing.
That's cool.
There's this kind of, behind the scenes kind of dark side.
You only get to know when you get to this office.
Yeah.
And then I think there's a comment along the way of, like, he can't really tell anybody else because nobody's going to believe him. They might think he's crazy, and then they wouldn't want him to be in office, and so he just kind of keeps it to himself.
Correct.
So now bad things have been happening in London, in the real world, because Voldemort's out there and the Death Eaters are doing things. So there's been some disasters, a bridge has collapsed, people are dying or disappearing, and the wizarding world feels like they need to reach out to Dumbledore again, and there's a new
Minister of Magic.
Minister of Magic, right.
Did you have his name?
No,
I can't remember his name either. And so I love this guy. He ends up, it's kind of an offhanded comment, but I think Luna says that he's a vampire later on in the book. So is he a vampire? I don't think we really know.
Luna's very into conspiracy theories.
Yeah. You have his name there?
No, I just have Fudge here.
and he
Scrimjaw.
Rufus Scrimjaw.
There we go.
And I love it. And this is jumping ahead a little bit, Amber, because I love this scene too. But later on, we get quite a bit with Rufus Scrimjaw. He comes to the burrow when Harry and is there. I can't remember why they're there. Maybe it's Christmas time.
Yeah, I think so. I think he's just trying to use Harry.
Yeah, and Scrimjaw comes
politically.
And it's like, hey, we just happened to be in town. And there's Percy, which is super weird. I feel bad for them with Percy. And Percy's like trying to make conversation.
Aww.
And then Scrimjaw says, we'll just let you guys catch up again, and I'll just go for a walk in the garden with Harry. I guess that's fine. And
because then obviously he doesn't care about Percy because he doesn't know that Percy's estranged from his own family and everything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And Harry, I love it, right? Harry's like, no. Do you remember last year when you guys were saying all those terrible things about me?
Yeah.
And now you want me to say you're doing a great job?
Yeah.
But you're locking people up just so because it looks good, not because they're
Yeah,
actually
he's real
Death
upset
Eaters.
that they locked up that guy from the bus.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that, and it's just interesting. Like, I was reading real quick here to figure out his name, and I see the Scrimjaw talking about, well, obviously it was a failed Imperious curse or something like that, and they're talking to the Prime Minister has no idea what any of that means. There's such a out-of-touchness with the wizards to the Muggle world.
That?
It's like they just can't be bothered. Like, I could learn a lot more about how, a wild fox lives in the world. Like, I know a wild fox is out there, and I know that they find their food somehow, and they sleep somehow, and they probably crawl on the ground somehow, but I don't really know the day-to-day life of a wild fox.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that.
I love that that's what you chose. That's not...
I was going to go dog or cat, but we do know a little bit more about them. Mm-hmm. Maybe it's similar to a dog or cat. Yeah. Like, we don't know what's going on in their head. We kind of know what they need or what they want.
Yeah, but we know what utensils they use and things.
True.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, because Mr. Weasley, like, is just always fascinated by everything, like an elevator, an escalator.
And
like, how could you not encounter that? You live in this world, too.
Yeah, they literally walk the streets of London, right? Either to get to the Ministry or to get to Diagon Alley. And so they're around buses and people and storefronts and things, but I guess they're apparating and they're using the Flu network and they're doing all sorts of different things.
Yep.
But
they just don't care.
What's the one with there's a weird item and you touch it and then the port key. Yeah, that's another travel method.
Yeah, lots of travel methods. So I liked that it started with kind of another glimpse into the wizarding world at large, and you kind of got the idea that Voldemort's doing some real bad stuff.
Some bad stuff, breaking bridges and things.
Yeah,
which we see in the movie. The Death Eaters flip that bridge around.
And that's what Harry was expecting. Remember last book when he was laying outside under the bushes, he was expecting to hear in the news that stuff was going on, but Voldemort had still been laying low at that time. Yeah. But now it is kicking up.
Yeah. So I don't know. Yeah, I guess I'm going to do my number 5 is Dumbledore's discussion with Harry. This is later in the book.
Okay.
And he says that you are like Voldemort in many ways, except for one very important way. You are able to give and to receive love.
Oh, that's nice.
Remember that?
Yeah.
And so he says, you're actually not drawn to the dark side. You're not drawn to this selfishness. And what we learn, this will come up a little bit later in my list and probably in yours too, right? We learn that Voldemort is supremely selfish, right? He doesn't have friends. He had this kind of rough go of things. And I think he doesn't have friends because they lead to weakness, right? He's like, no, I've never been able to trust anybody. Yeah. So I need to take care of myself.
Yeah.
And then he sees maybe Harry, Harry later on dumps Ginny because he's like, well, I can't be close to somebody because Voldemort will just use relationships like he has throughout his rise to power. And so we see this differentiation between Harry, because they have a lot of similarities, which we learn, but this idea of love or being able to receive love, being able to give love is this protection. And Harry's not very impressed by that. He's like, well, how is this actually going to help me, Dumbledore? I don't see it. Dumbledore is pretty convinced that it's going to be the difference maker.
Yeah, when you said that about Ginny, that's the very end of the book. He says, he can't be with Ginny, but that is interesting because isn't that a little bit? It's a little bit going to the Voldemort side. It's
Oh,
there's a fear
interesting.
motivation there. There's a, I get that he doesn't want her
Mm-hmm.
to be hurt, but at the same time, then the natural conclusion is you cut yourself off from everyone so that Voldemort can't hurt anyone. But then that's exactly what Voldemort did. He
Exactly.
cut himself off from everyone. Like sometimes you have to take that risk.
Yeah. What were we watching? And it said like once they get you to think that you're by yourself, that's how they win. Man, I was watching something.
I
Anyway,
was
that's
too.
out there. That wasn't the movie, was it? That wasn't The Rise of Skywalker, was it?
I don't know.
Amber's deep in thought.
I really got to think of that now.
She's got to think of it.
You're all alone.
Oh, it was. Yeah, we can't talk about it. It was at the end of The Rise of Skywalker.
Is it really?
Yeah, I'll tell you about it off mic.
Okay. Might just. All right. So that was your number 5.
That was my number 5. Hold on, Amber. Let me just pause this real quick. Yes, Amber, that was my number 5.
My number 4. I'm going to put in all the Ron relationship stuff.
Okay.
I'm a girl. I like the romance stories. So it was interesting to me. There was some definite flirting and some back and forth between Hermione and Ron at the beginning of the book.
Definitely.
It felt like, wait a minute, did they start a relationship last book and I forgot? And you could see that in the movie too. And like there's definitely a pull there between the two of them. But at one point, I don't know who they saw. They saw somebody snogging or whatever. And the conversation came around to Harry had already kissed Cho, and then they said that Hermione had kissed
What's his name?
Crumb,
Crumb.
and Ron didn't know that. And Ron got real upset. He couldn't believe that he's the only one who hadn't done any snogging, and he was so upset with Hermione, and he didn't talk to her for days, and she didn't know why he was upset, and nobody would say. And because of that, he was weakened to Lavender's affections. She already seemed to have a crush on him, and so he wanted to figure out what all this was about. So he started to hang out with her, and then they dated and they made out in front of everyone and made everyone uncomfortable, and it was kind of annoying. Perfect cast for her in the movie,
she
by
was
the way,
great.
too. She was adorable and very Wan, and
Yeah. Well, I thought it was great because you're right. She was super cute in the movie, and you're like, oh, I can see why Ron. But by the end, once they were in, you were like, I don't want anything to do with
Yep.
this crazy person.
Yep.
It's like she is a
was too much.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
way too much. Like, okay,
Yep.
give me away. And you could tell Ron was kind of feeling the same way.
Yeah,
So.
and I've know people that have been in relationships like that. And I'm like, oh, that is annoying to be around, and then it is hard to get out of. And so, and I liked the way that they ended up breaking up. It was, well, did it happen in the book the same? In the movie, Ron was in the hospital, and he wasn't really conscious, and he kept asking for Hermione and not for Lavender. And
Yeah.
so that's how they broke up. And then he said he didn't really remember.
I think it was somehow different in the book, but I can't remember.
Because there was something that happened that kind of changed. Like he chose Hermione in an instance before he broke up with Lavender, and then all of a sudden Hermione was okay. Like she wasn't upset even before he had officially broke up with her. Anyway, I just like all that relationship intricacy, and I can remember all the drama of kind of high school relationships and people who's
Yeah.
going out with who and who's jealous and
Yeah.
all that.
I think Rowling does a really good job from my recollection of what it was like dating or being, what are they, 15, 16 years old now and trying to kind of figure all that stuff out. It seemed relatively realistic. I thought she did a good job capturing all these different things and, Ron and Hermione obviously like each other, but there's this pride and this, immaturity that forces them apart all the time.
Yes.
And so they eventually get together, which makes you happy. Didn't
Yeah.
they get together?
Yeah, even in this book. Yep.
Yeah.
They are finally together.
And then Harry and Ginny finally got together.
Yeah, and I really enjoyed Harry being attracted to Ginny, but being scared to say anything to Ron, and seeing how upset Ron was when Ginny was making out with whoever she was going out with before. Then
what's his
Harry's
name?
like, well, I don't want him to be that upset with me, and so he just kind of felt like I'll never be able to have this.
They do a great thing in the book early on, very early. I think Harry shows up at the Burrow, and somehow we learn that Ginny, maybe she wears a particular flowery perfume or
Oh,
something.
that's right, yeah.
And then they're in Slughorn's office making potions, and there's a love potion, and it smells different to everybody, and he smells that, and that was the first for me. It was like, oh wait, he's talking about there's something between him and Ginny, and then it just kind of grew as the book went. I thought that was great.
They changed it in the movie. They made it Hermione and Ron, because Hermione had toothpaste on her mouth in the burrow, and Ron was like, oh, you got a little toothpaste there, and then she said something. Her love potion smelled like something and toothpaste, and it's like, but yeah, you're right, it was Harry and Ginny in the book.
Okay, so this man, I'm trying to decide which one to go with. I'm changing my number 4. So what that reminded me of was the greatness of that scene where they're making potions. So my number 4 is Harry finding or receiving the Half-Blood Prince's book.
Yes,
this was phenomenal, and so what's her name? The assistant to, she's the head of Hogwarts of McGonagall. What? She's the head of Gryffindor.
There you go.
So and she's like the deputy headmaster or something like that. Anyway, so she tells like, "Oh, Harry, why aren't you taking potions?" Like, "Well, I couldn't. I do want to be an Auror, but I didn't get I gotta exceeds expectations on my OWL, so I can't take it." She's like, "Well, that was when what's his name? Snape was doing it, but now it's Slughorn, so he'll take you." She's like, "Just turn up. We'll find you a book and we'll get you whatever."
Yes.
And so they go there, and him and Ron both need a book. The movie did this fantastic scene where Slughorn says, "All right, boys, go get an extra book." And there's one like pristine book and one like falling apart advanced potion making, and they fight over them.
In
Ron
just
gets
a
the
classic high school boy way. It was just so real.
It's great. And Ron gets the nice one, and Harry gets the old one. Well, come to find out, this old one is all beat up, is by somebody called the Half-Blood Prince, and has a bunch of notes in there about like they're trying to make some kind of a potion, and you're supposed to cut this thing, but the Half-Blood Prince in the side notes or whatever, or in the margins says, crush it instead of cutting it, and do, stir it 13 times instead of 12, whatever. And Slughorn thinks, Harry's like, "Wow, you're the best potion maker ever." and Hermione is so mad. And I just love that he got the Felix Felicis.
Mm-hmm.
I love how Hermione is jealous of him the whole time, and like
because she really wants to follow the textbook. The textbook's got to be the best way to do it.
Exactly, and then it just leads to all sorts of problems and the Sectum Sempra and all that stuff. It's great.
Yeah, I think the textbook line was really good. I had that as one of my points, but I've got more than 5, so I will leave that out. But I'm going to go ahead and talk about. I didn't know how high to make this one because I really liked it, but
this is your number 3.
Okay,
is that correct?
Yes, it will be. This is Ron taking the Felix potion. What'd you call it?
Felix Felicis.
So it's a good luck potion.
Felix Felicis.
And it's got to be really hard to come by because, like Mark said, why wouldn't everybody just take it all the time?
It's very challenging to make, and it takes 6 months to brew it.
And you have to hold a leaf in your mouth all night long and then wait for lightning to strike. So Harry won it, and then Ron, they've got their first Quidditch game, and Ron can play well, but not when he gets in his head, and he just doesn't think he can do it. So Harry masterminds this time at their table at Hogwarts, having breakfast, where he acts like he's trying to disguise the fact that he's putting something in the drink, but he lets Hermione and somebody else see, and Ron realizes, and everybody's under the impression that he just gave him the good luck potion. So Ron has an amazing game. Everything's working out great for him. He has the best day. And then Hermione's so upset because she feels like they cheated and it's just not fair. And then Harry shows her that the vial was full the whole time. And I just love it. I love it so much. That was the best reveal the first time. And every time it just comes off so well in the movie.
And I love that Harry knew exactly what Hermione was going to do.
Yes, he needed her to do that in order to confirm to Ron that it was real.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, if he would have told her and she didn't react right, then it wouldn't. Yeah. It was just perfect.
And just goes to how often do we get in our own heads, right? If we just walk and go, "Hey, I can do this," and just go with confidence, how much better off would we be?
Yep. And it was cool that Ron got to know too, like, you did that on your own. Exactly. That should really help him the next game too, except the world falls apart. So.
If everything gets bad. Yeah.
You don't get to play fun games anymore.
The kind of going on the Felix Felicis, when Harry actually does take it. Wow, what a great scene in the book. He takes it and he's like, because he's trying to get Slughorn's memory, right?
Yes.
And Hermione and Ron are like, "All right, now go find Slughorn." He's like, "I think I'm going to you go to Hagrid's and bury that
Yes.
spider?
Interesting.
And just the way that I just have a good feeling
Yeah.
about it. And it was, I thought
Yep.
that Felix Felicis was really great.
That was really great. And I liked the way it was used. You know, it wasn't like something crazy happened that never would have happened. It was just like the right little decisions along the way that
Yep.
led to what he needed. I like how Ron was like, well, that's how I felt when I took it or whatever. And they're like, you didn't actually take it. He's like, yeah, but when I thought I took it.
So good.
So cute. So that was my number 3, Ron taking the good luck potion.
Okay, my number 3 is the cave. This is a later
Oh, yeah.
chapter, and so Dumbledore takes our friend Harry with him to find a Horcrux, and we've figured out what Horcruxes are at this point in the book.
That took a long time.
Took a long,
but it's
long
because
time.
of the potion that we finally got the memory of what a Horcrux is.
And so I think there's this one, and it's where Tom Riddle had tortured some kids when he went to the sea, when he was in the orphanage. And so they go there, and it's really cool. The book and the movie, I think, both did a really good
they really
job
did.
of like, here's this cave, and it's hard to get to, and I've got to, cut myself to open this magical door, and then there's this big lake, and there's all these Inferi, and they talked about Inferi earlier in the book, which are basically Harry Potter zombies.
Yes.
And they're kind of under there, and Dumbledore's like, don't touch the water. And they find the boat, which is really cool. And they go across there, and there's this potion, but I can't. Or there's a potion, and then I see the locket inside there, but I can't get to it. Oh, I've got to drink it.
I don't think I would have come up with that.
And how he knew that he had to drink it is kind of beyond me, but it's the power of plot, moving things forward. And so he drank it, and he's like, no matter what, just make me drink this. And
I could have never done it.
Jim Dale in the narration did such a phenomenal job just carrying the emotion of like Dumbledore, I don't want to drink it, don't make me do it.
Yeah, it's
And
practically
like,
reduced to like a baby or a little child.
and
Like,
it's just like, what was he seeing, what was going on? It was very brutal. And Harry, just torn up, was like, it'll all, just drink this one more, it'll all be over. He's like, I don't want anymore. He's like, it'll all stop if you drink this one. And
oh my gosh.
pushing him through. And then he wants water, and so Dumbledore wants water, and so Harry does the
Aguamenti,
but it won't work in this thing, so he has to dip it into that gross water. It
Nobody
just
should
seems
drink
like,
that.
well, just don't.
I guess they didn't know the dead people were in there yet.
Yeah, just wait a couple minutes, and and so then all the inferior come rising
That's
up.
what wakes them up. Yeah.
And he's trying to fight him off with Sanctum Sempra, and all the stuff that he knows. But then Voldemort must kind of come to enough to do the big fireball thing, and they are able to escape. And they do escape, and Harry actually apparates them back to
Really? Harry does it.
Hogsmeade, because
Cool.
what's his name is too Dumbledore's too weak, and so
Yeah.
they end up back in Hogsmeade, and it's just this dominoes start falling real fast at that point.
Oh man.
And but the cave, and then turning up back at Hogsmeade, I just thought was fantastic, and just the emotion of Harry and seeing your mentor, the strongest person, the person that is supposed to be the protector, the one that's figuring everything out. He's uber weak and struggling, and it'd be a little bit scary.
Yeah, absolutely. I noticed in the movie, I don't remember if he said it in the book, but one of the first things he says when he starts drinking the potion, Dumbledore, is he starts going, it's all my fault, it's all my fault, it's my fault. And I think he's talking about Voldemort. And here we've seen these memories and the pensive. We've seen the parents of Voldemort, grandparents, parents. We've seen him in the orphanage. We've seen Dumbledore come and find him and knew that there's something that's not good about him, but try to help him and try to get along. And I think that was something that was in his subconscious or in his real consciousness. It's his fault that he didn't stop it when he could have, or
maybe
something.
even thinking like, I could have ended this kid at any point along the way, and I didn't do it. But yeah, I think that's really good. All right, Amber, what's your number 2?
My number 2 is a little bit later. It is the the Fleur and Mrs. Weasley situation.
Was so good.
So Fleur was from the Beauxbaton School that competed with Harry. She competed with Harry for the
Triwizard Cup.
Triwizard Cup, and then she apparently fell in love with Bill. Now was he there with the dragons? Is that how she met him?
Yep.
So she's there when Harry gets to the Burrow.
Well,
time.
actually, I'm not sure. He was the one that worked at the bank. He was doing something with
okay.
the bank. And so she was also working at the bank. So I think they ended up meeting at Gringotts
Oh, okay.
and getting together.
Okay, that sounds
my
better.
theory.
There is a brother that works with the
Yeah.
dragons.
I can't remember
It is
which
Bill
one.
that's with Fleur, though, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so anyway, she's, of course, her floaty, flurry,
Half Vila.
half Vila self. And so I think naturally other women are going to have a hard time with that just because it's annoying to have other men like not paying any attention to you or not listen, even if I'm sure if she's just asking Ron to do the dishes or whatever, he's not paying any attention when Fleur's in the room, and that's just annoying. So there's some of that. And then I think she doesn't really trust that Fleur loves her son, certainly not the way that she does. And Ginny and Hermione don't like her. And there's just a lot of tension with Fleur in the house, and she doesn't seem to care. She doesn't seem to notice. So there's all that kind of setup. And then at the end, there's the battle, and Bill is horribly wounded by Fenric. Is that how you said they pronounced it?
I think so.
The werewolf,
I think it's
the death-
Fenrir, though, isn't
Fenrir.
it? Fenrir Greyback.
Yeah, the Death Eater werewolf. And so his wounds won't heal. He's going to be scarred. He's going to have some wolfish tendencies. There's all these horrible things going on. And Fleur and Mrs. Weasley show up, and Mrs. Weasley just assumes that, of course, this beautiful half Vila isn't going to want anything to do with her scarred up son anymore because she never really trusted her in the first place. And Fleur just has this great reaction of, well, you think he's not going to want to be with me anymore because he's, scarred or whatever? And do you think I'm not going to love him anymore? Like, I think he looks brave. He's got these scars because he's brave. And I would love him. And then there's this, they just kind of like have this understanding, and they hug. And Mrs. Weasley offers her the family tiara to wear at the wedding.
so
and
sweet.
all of a sudden there's an understanding there. So I think having kids and getting into relationships ourselves, having children that are in relationships and seeing what's it like to bring somebody new into your family. Like Mrs. Weasley had it
Hard.
real tough.
Very hard.
Yeah,
yes.
it is real hard.
Absolutely.
So I understood her a little bit through that, and then I just really liked the makeup scene at the end there in Madame Pomfrey's hospital room.
Yeah, I thought that was great. Well, Amber, my number 2, also a little bit on the lighter side.
Oh, good.
I loved how Hermione helped Ron get on the Quidditch team by
yes.
casting the Confundus on
Cormac.
Cormac McLaggen. Cormac McLaggen. Because it's so not Hermione-ish, right? And it's like I don't know why she did it. Like, she doesn't care about Quidditch at all. She just likes Ron.
She definitely likes Ron. And I think
And-
she was annoyed because I think she knew he could be better too. It's just frustrating when they have it in them and they can't show it,
Yeah. And everybody knew that McLaggen was kind of a jerk.
Yes, that too.
And I just thought, and so Harry brings, and so when Hermione is like, I can't believe you gave him the Felix Felicius, and he's like, well, it's what you cast the Confundus jar. Like, what's the
and
difference?
she didn't know that Harry knew that. Yeah.
And so I thought I just liked that. And so that kind of ties into just all the little different relationships and the connections that were happening throughout the book. And
Yeah, it was nice
so-
to see Hermione do a little something out of character. That was, yep.
Yeah, so I don't know why that's my number 2. I just thought it just seemed out of left field for me for her, and I thought I liked seeing. It's just a really short scene in the movie as well, but I thought they did a good job. So I loved how dumb Ron looked in his gear, like on game day in the movie, right? He's like, he has that dumb hat on and he's all nervous and he's just like walking around like a big goofball. Just like, I love Ron.
Yep. But then I guess it was because of the good luck charm that he ended up getting together with Lavender. So it wasn't directly related to Hermione making that decision. But yeah, she's the one who should have got the reward there. Yeah.
Yeah. And she was not happy when Ron was making out with Lavender.
So has there ever been a book where there wasn't at least 2 of them that weren't speaking to each other for part of the book?
I love that. I feel like that's part of the brilliance of J.K. Rowling. Like it's just real, right?
Yeah,
it's
they're
like,
real situations.
Like we all just have stuff, especially in high school. It's like
and they're with each other 24/7. They're not going home at night or over the weekends.
Yeah. So I love that. So
I do too.
that's my number 2.
That was great.
All right, Amber, what's your number one moment from Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince?
Well, it's a big moment. It would be the whole Malfoy story.
Oh my gosh, it's
very interesting to see what happens to poor Draco Malfoy. So we see at the very beginning that his dad has been sent off to Azkaban. We've got his mom, Narcissa, kind of on her own, worried about Draco. We have a hint that he may have become a Death Eater himself, but we don't know for sure until the end of the book. Narcissa is worried about Draco, what's going to happen to him, so she goes to visit Snape, and she and her sister, Bellatrix, convince Snape to do the
Unbreakable
vow, so that he has to promise that he will protect Draco and that he will complete Draco's mission if Draco's unable to do it. So that's pretty big. And then we just have, Harry never trusts Draco. He always thinks he's up to something, and I don't remember why he thinks it's worse this time around. He sneaks into Draco's train car in the invisibility cloak.
It's because
he saw him at Borgin
and Burke's. Yeah.
Okay, so that was it. They saw him in Diagon Alley, and I think he just followed him for no reason.
Because he saw him.
Oh, they look like they don't want to be followed.
Yeah,
so let's follow them. So he goes to that bad shop then in Nocturne Alley where you shouldn't go, and he can tell that I think they went in there, or maybe they used the listening ears. They could definitely hear in the book.
And then in the book, Hermione went in to try to figure out what.
Oh, okay.
But it didn't work because she did some terrible lie. I can't remember what it was, but it was really bad.
She's not good at lying. So it turns out it's a cabinet in the shop, but we don't find that out till later. So he gets to Hogwarts, and Draco's just not himself. He's not antagonizing Harry. He doesn't care about Quidditch. The movie, I think, did a really nice job of just showing, like they would show Draco kind of watching all these other people laugh and have fun because they're kids, and that's what you should be doing. And Draco just has this real heaviness about him, and it turns out he is disappearing all the time. Harry can't find him on the Marauders map and realizes he's in the room of requirement, but Harry can't get in because, of course, Draco's requirement would be to find a room that nobody could get into. So eventually it all comes to pass that Draco's been trying to repair this cabinet that will allow people to transport themselves back and forth from that bad bookstore so he can get Death Eaters into the castle. Turns out he is a Death Eater, even though he's so young. Nobody believed he would be. Nobody believed Harry, of course, and Harry was right that Draco was up to something. But it's just there's a sadness to it. I think Draco wants to be important, and he wants to, I think he does agree that this is the right side to be on for some reason, but it was too much too soon. He was too young to have this responsibility. And then I can't tell, was his mission to repair the cabinet or was his mission to kill Dumbledore?
His mission was to kill Dumbledore. I think both. I think it was a combo because they very clearly the other ones were like, no, Draco's supposed to kill him. Draco's supposed to kill him, and I think it was like this. All right, prove if you're really on my side. Like you'll get these bad guys in there.
And maybe Voldemort thought Draco or Dumbledore would be a little bit more vulnerable to a student. Like I just don't know why he would choose it other than to do something horrible to Draco. And then why is it important to get the other Death Eaters in the castle if Draco's going to do it anyway?
Yeah, and I think that Voldemort's mad at Lucius because of his failure and his
that's true. It's a little bit of a punishment.
Failed at the Ministry. He didn't stand next to Voldemort after Voldemort disappeared like Bellatrix did, and so I think he's a little mad. And now, all right, well, you better. All right, now I've got this inside man. I can use Draco. Not that he cares about Draco at all.
No, and he doesn't care if he dies either.
Yeah,
he's
it's
disposable,
just like whatever.
And that's why Narcissa's so worried too.
Yeah, and so he makes the unbreakable vow, and Harry finds out about it, and he asks Ron, he's like, "What's the unbreakable vow?" He's like, "It's a vow that you can't break."
Oh, I figured that out.
I figured that out. Funnily enough, yeah. And then the whole climactic scene in the astronomy tower, which I think the movie did a good job of it, but it's fantastic in the book.
Yes.
Just the conversation that Dumbledore has, his love for Draco. Like, hey, it's not too late. We can protect you. We can protect your mom. When your dad gets out of prison, we'll protect you. Like, it's like I've not shut the door on you. Like this, like you don't have to walk this path.
Yeah.
And he couldn't. But then Snape comes in, and that was so bizarre, and it makes me want to know what would he have done if it wasn't for the unbreakable vow. I don't, because that would have been a really tough situation.
Yeah, I feel like there's more to it than just the vow, because when Dumbledore says, "Severus, please," what is he saying?
Yeah.
My understanding is always that he's saying, please don't put this on Draco. Please take
Yeah.
this off of Draco.
Yeah, that's my.
I'm
That's
going to
my
have to
impression,
die right
too.
now. Let it be from you and not from somebody else.
Yeah.
And so then when Harry calls Snape a coward and Snape gets so upset, I think it's because that was one of the bravest things he ever had to do, was to kill Dumbledore in order to keep this, I guess to keep himself as a partial Death Eater. I don't know. I can't remember exactly how Snape's story happens in the next book, but I feel like it definitely wasn't just, all right, well, I got to follow through this vow. I feel like there was more to it.
Yeah.
He did make that vow, though. So
He did, yeah. It was a great opening scene. I don't know if that was the second scene with the book
Yes.
with Narcissa and Bellatrix and Snape. So, and Wormtail's living there, living with
Yes.
them. So weird
It's
to me.
so weird.
So, yeah.
So he really is accomplishing a good double life if they allow Wormtail. Maybe Voldemort thinks Wormtail's keeping an eye on him. That's probably, and he can't say no.
And it's really interesting. We know what is happening, but at this point in the book, as you're reading it the first time through, there's got to be like, oh wait, was Dumbledore wrong about
yeah.
Snape,
Oh,
or
all
am I
along.
wrong about Snape? And like,
for sure think Harry's right, because
Yeah.
Harry's always right.
he's always right. And then, well, he just did Avada Kedavra, this guy, and and now he's running off with Draco. Like, it's like maybe he was a double agent on the other side.
And Lupin and McGonagall, and they were all very quick to go like, man, Dumbledore always trusted him, but
Guess we were wrong.
they really believed
Yeah,
that he had gone wrong too. I think there's one more thing. Oh, I liked in the book that Harry was under the cloak and Dumbledore froze him.
that was way better. Yes,
and
that
in
was
the movie, they
fantastic.
just had Harry like waiting downstairs and supposed to be quiet. And I just feel like Harry
Yeah.
Potter, the character we know, would have never been quiet.
He would have.
He would have
died
let himself die. He would have
try to
attacked
protect,
somebody.
yeah.
He would have immediately retaliated against Snape, and then he would have died himself.
Yeah.
I do really like that he's trying to attack Snape at the end, and Snape doesn't hurt
And-
him
and
or kill
that's-
him. He
yeah.
does hex him a little bit, but he
Yeah,
doesn't.
and that's when he says, "You're going to use my spells against me."
Oh, that's such a great reveal,
I'm
yes.
the Half-Blood Prince. You've been using my spells all
Yes.
year long. And,
Yes.
and that's so good.
Because you can see, especially when you know that it's coming, you see something in Snape's eye when he does the Sectum Semper or whatever
Yeah.
on Malfoy. He's like, wait a minute, what spell is this? Where'd you get that from? And then he tries the occlumency on Harry, and then he asks for his textbook, and he's got to run back and get Ron's textbook.
Crazy. That's great.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, that's a great. That whole storyline is amazing. So this one also is a recurring storyline that we'll just talk about quickly here.
Mm-hmm.
My number one is exploring Voldemort's past,
Oh,
using
yes,
the
yes. I'm so glad
Pensieves
you
and
said
going
that. I wanted
into
to talk about
all
that.
of those memories. And obviously, this is more rolling, right? Where nothing is black and white. There's always these shades of gray, and it's all about the choices that we make with the situations that are presented
Yes.
for us, And here we see that Tom was an orphan. He was, his mom. We find out about Merope was a witch that Costa gave a love potion to this Muggle, and they had a baby, but then the love potion wore off, and the Muggle left, and she sold the just to survive, sold the locket, the
Yeah,
Slytherin locket,
yeah.
all this stuff, and it just comes out, and he just had this tough, horrible life, and he makes some really bad. He's just a he's a bad kid, but you can see he's trying to protect himself.
Yeah.
There's some, not that it's redeeming it all, but it's just like, well, I can at least see it a little bit.
Yeah. And then figuring out he has some kind of magic with him and not knowing what to do with that, I think that would be a hard thing to grow up. If he had grown up with his magical mom, or if he had gotten his Hogwarts letter when he should have and stuff, then maybe that would have helped him
Yeah.
handle his magic more responsibly.
Yeah, and so all those visions, and then all those memories were really, really good, and I liked how. All right, here's the memory that I got from Slughorn. You see, it's real weird. It's kind of
Yeah,
messed up.
yeah,
I
that
need
was cool.
you to get the real one, and that was a real ordeal. But I loved in the book, Slughorn gives him the memory.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, don't think less of me. You can
Yeah.
see how
He's
just
been beating
torn
himself
up.
up
He's
about
like,
that.
I am part of what's happened
Yeah.
in the wizarding world, and he can't rest. He said at the beginning of the book, I only stay in a place 1 week at a time, and then I move on because the Death Eaters are trying to recruit me, and I don't want. And he's just trying to move on, get away from that, and he's just complicit, and he knows it. And so that's where we learn about these Horcruxes, that they're these that you can kill somebody and separate, which cracks your soul, and you can put that part of your soul into some kind of an object.
Yeah.
And so he says, and then in the memory, Tom Riddle says, well, could you do it 7 times? And
Yeah.
Slughorn's like, well, I can't even imagine doing it. Nobody could do it. How could you do it once?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
7 times. And so that makes Dumbledore go, okay, there's 7 of them. But we also know that Tom was a collector. We saw that in one of his early
Right.
visions.
Yeah, that was cool.
He likes things of power. Right?
Yep.
We saw him kill that old woman that had the cup, the Hufflepuff
Oh, yeah,
cup,
yeah.
and she had the Slytherin locket or the ring. He killed somebody
Yeah.
else for the ring, and so all right, he's collecting probably this. I don't know how they figured the snake was one. That one didn't make any sense to me. But-
And I thought at one point Voldemort said he didn't think the snake was it, and then Harry at the end was like, "Well, we know the snake's it." I don't know. I feel like there was some
Yeah.
ambiguity there, but
Yeah, so
just
we don't
because he
know.
always has it with him, maybe.
Yeah.
But he doesn't have these other things with
Yeah, it
him.
seems like you wouldn't want that anyway. So I just thought that was great. The Horcrux is a very interesting idea.
Yeah.
We know that that's setting up the Deathly Hallows here. It was the death of Dumbledore. That was crazy that Dumbledore went all through that and
I
was like,
know.
oh wait, this isn't one. Shoot.
That was so depressing. It reminded me so much of Harry finding that mirror that he could have used to talk to Sirius after Sirius was already dead.
Yeah.
Like, it's just such a hopeless predicament to be in. They went through all of that. I mean, they have a little clue to lead on because the note in there written by R.A.B.
Yeah. Which we think is
Regulus.
Regulus Black, which is interesting because in the movie, I didn't know it until
Yeah.
the very beginning of the book. Slughorn's like, oh, he's looking at some of the pictures and he's like, oh, and that's Regulus Black. And I've been looking for who's an RB,
Who's RB, yes.
Like, oh, there he is.
I remembered it was a black, but I couldn't remember how or what. So they said he was Sirius's older brother.
Yeah.
And they said he would have liked to have the pair, but Sirius went to Gryffindor. He would have liked to collect the pairs
Gross.
in this weird, creepy way. Yeah, having the locket not be the real locket, that was a real bummer.
Yeah. So that was my number. I just loved getting a bit different view of Voldemort. We got a lot of backstory. We got some Snape. He's this Half-Blood Prince guy. I guess we didn't get much more than that, did we? We got a lot of
Yeah,
Voldemort.
I always thought that this was the book that had I always think of this as the Snape book. I thought this was the book with the occlumency where you could see a little bit of his background, but there's none of that.
Yeah, there's a little bit in the previous book.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and great. I really enjoyed it. I'm kind of excited about. I remember the movie. I never read the book. I remember the movie being kind of long and boring. I hope the book isn't long and boring.
Yeah, I mean they definitely, because the whole thing, we'll get to it, but the quest or whatever that Harry and Ron and Hermione, it's long and boring for them. Like nothing's happening and it's hard and it's depressing. And I think they just really communicate that well in the movie. And I am having trouble remembering exactly how the book went as well. So we'll see.
find out.
We will see. It's not as long. We already read the longest one.
That's good.
Order of the
We're
Phoenix.
don't worry, friends. We're almost done with Harry Potter. Unless you love Harry Potter, then good news. There's one more. So
Yeah, it'll be a little bit before we get to it.
yeah, absolutely.
We were thinking about a little Star Wars in the next episode, perhaps, and then maybe our little decade review at the beginning of January.
Yeah, that sounds
And
great.
then we'll be working on some Harry Potter towards the end of January.
Sounds great. Well, we want to thank you for joining us. We would love to hear from you. You can leave feedback about this episode on Twitter or Facebook at SegmentsCast, or you can send us an email at segmentscast@gmail.com. And you can, this hasn't happened in a long, long time, you can go to our episode page at segments.libsyn.com, and you can listen to us there.
Yeah, don't forget to subscribe. That way, even if we're embarrassed by the audio quality, you'll still get it on your phone.
That's right.
But hopefully this one turned out great. You can subscribe on any podcast player of choice.
That's right. And we want to say thank you to Emma for the logo and graphics. If you want her to draw you a little something, she's taking commissions, though she's very, very busy.
I did see she opened commissions again over break here.
They're back open. So you can contact her. Just send us an email, segmentscast@gmail.com.
And thank you to our nephew Gabriel, known as EDM Samurai. He made our intro and outro music. You can find him and a lot more music on SoundCloud at EDM Samurai.
Deep pan, crisp and even.
Deep and
Deep
crisp and even.
Deep man. Crisp and even.
That's just a joke. That's not a
You didn't get it right. Sorry.